Hey there, if you're a dog owner in Brookline, you already know that picking the right trainer is a pretty big deal. So in this explainer, we're going to walk through everything you need to know to choose the absolute best pro for you and your dog. You know, living with a dog in Brookline has its own special vibe. You've got the busy sidewalks, the cafes on Harvard Street, the shops in Coolidge Corner. All that activity is actually the perfect training ground for raising a really calm, confident city dog. And that's exactly what we're going to focus on.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with training goals that make sense for life in Brooklyn. Then we'll look at the different methods and program formats you'll see out there. After that, we'll get into how to choose a trainer, talk about what it costs and some local rules, and then wrap up with some fantastic local resources.
Okay, first things first. Let's talk about what good training actually looks like when you're living day to day in Brookline.
It really all begins with setting goals that fit your real life here. I mean, think about it. You want your dog to just stroll calmly past those outdoor patios, right? Or stay focused when a noisy Green Line train rattles by. And how about just being able to greet someone politely on a skinny sidewalk? These are the practical skills that make living with a dog in a busy town a total joy.
So, now that we know what we're aiming for, let's check out the different training styles and program types you're going to come across.
You are going to hear this term, positive reinforcement, all the time, and for a really good reason. It's basically a science-backed way of training that's all about rewarding the behaviors you want to see more of. So you give a treat when your dog sits instead of jumps. It's all about building a trusting bond, not just barking commands.
So what's the better fit, a group class or private lessons? Well, it really depends on your dog and your goals. Group classes are awesome for practicing around other dogs and people, and they're usually easier on the wallet. Private lessons, though, are completely customized to you and your dog. They're fantastic for working on specific issues right there in your home, like going nuts when the doorbell rings.
And beyond those two big ones, you've got a few other options. A board and train is a super intensive program where your dog lives with the trainer for a bit. Day training is a nice in-between, where a professional works with your dog during the day. And for tougher stuff like fear or serious reactivity, you want to look for a specialized behavior modification program.
Okay, you know your options, but how do you actually pick the right person? Let's get into what to look for with credentials and some key questions you've got to ask.
I know, at first glance, this just looks like a bunch of letters, but these acronyms are really important. They basically show that a trainer is serious about their education and follows ethical standards. For instance, a CPDT-KA has passed a big exam on dog training knowledge. Think of these certifications as a good sign that you're dealing with a true professional.
This is the first and probably most important question to ask. You really want to hear them talk about using positive, reward-based methods. Your goal is to find somebody who's focused on building your dog's confidence, not using fear or anything that feels intimidating.
Now this one is huge. A truly great trainer won't just teach a generic sit. They're going to ask about your daily routine, your apartment, and the specific challenges you face on your walks. They should be able to tell you exactly how they'll help your dog learn to handle a bustling street versus a quiet park.
And finally, you've got to ask about progress. A good trainer always has a plan. They should be able to explain what success looks like at every step and how you'll both know when it's time to take on bigger challenges, like a weekend walk through Coolidge Corner. All right, let's get down to the brass tacks, what you should plan to spend on training and the local rules that every single dog owner in Brookline needs to know.
So when it comes to cost in the Brookline area, this should give you a general ballpark. You can see a group class series might be a few $100s, while a package of private lessons is, of course, a bigger investment. Having these numbers in mind just helps you plan ahead and find an option that works for your budget and your dog. Here's a very simple but very important local rule. In Brookline, your dog has to be on a leash that's 6 feet long or shorter whenever you're in a public space. That's why you don't really see those long, retractable leashes around here. It's a straightforward rule that helps keep everyone, dogs and people, safe and comfortable.
Here's another key bit of paperwork. Every dog in Brookline has to be licensed once a year through the town clerk's office. It's easy. All you need is proof that their rabies vaccination is up to date. It's a simple step that's a really big part of public health and safety.
And just a few other quick reminders. Always pick up after your dog. Be mindful that too much barking can become a noise issue, especially in our dense neighborhoods. And make sure that rabies vaccine is always current, as required by state law. Being a great dog owner is also about being a great neighbor.
Okay, so once you've gotten started with training, where can you actually go to work on those new skills? Let's check out some really great local spots.
You can really use your own neighborhood as your training classroom.
For example, the fenced-in area at Amory Woods during off-leash hours is perfect for safely practicing recall. A wide-open place like Lars Anderson Park is fantastic for teaching your dog to stay focused when there are picnics and other families around. And the paths along the Emerald Necklace are just ideal for mastering polite leash walking around joggers and bikes.
In the end, putting the time into finding the right training is what really makes it all possible. It's what leads to those calm walks past the cafes, those easy greetings on the sidewalk, and having a dog who can just comfortably and confidently handle all the great things Brookline has to offer. We wish you the very best of luck finding that perfect trainer and enjoying a wonderful life with your dog here in town.